Hello, I'm Beardy Blocks. Welcome back to my channel for the first one of these contraption compaction challenges. Now, Mrs. Blocks insists that my contraption is compact enough as it is, but I suspect we may be talking about different contraptions. But I'm talking about this one now. This is my under Soulsand elevator. Now, I thought we'd come back and have a quick look at it because I didn't show you the full function of it. Now, upstairs, when it spits you out, there is a bit of a funny thing that goes on. So I will go and show you that first of all. Okay, yeah, so let's give this one a try. Now, if you saw what happened there, it's very quick what happens. But basically, what we've got is we've got a set of pistons that are just behind that block there. And they come down, they grab these quartz blocks out the way. And then the pistons that are just behind these quartz blocks, behind these pillars, then come out, grab the glass across, just in time for that to pump the player out to here. And then everything gets returned nice and neat. And yeah, it's a far superior thing to these signs. I hate signs just blocking off the water. So ugly, so ugly. But yeah, anyhow, let's show. Oh, and I should say this is Bergerac. So yeah, you may see some of my pets around. We also have snuggers around here somewhere. I'm surprised we didn't see them on the tour. Well, I'm not. I've got a sneaking suspicion that Ocelot may have had something to do with not seeing snuggers. And I've got a sneaking suspicion that because I had Bergerac on free roam, he had wandered to the end of the garden. But then, but yeah, so yeah, more about my pets anyway at a later date. But let's just have a quick look at the way this this functions on the way back down, shall we? Yeah, you just pop up like that. It's a really nice little design. And yeah, it's just, but as we'll see, we'll go around the back. Okay, yeah, as you can see, it's a big confusing spaghetti junction now. And it was laziness, basically, all of this. I mean, I used these observer blocks really effectively over on Hotel Nautilus. We'll go take a look in a sec. But then on this one, I think I just went a bit over the top with it. So I would explain what's going on here, but I've done a test piece that's a lot easier for me to explain that we're going to go have a look at. And we can see a bit more of a compactor version as well over on Hotel Nautilus, because this really was a dog's dinner. It's strange because usually your second version is the nicer version. But yeah, Hotel Nautilus just does absolutely nail this one for compactness, especially the kicking out area. If we look at the yellow sort of circuit up here, the yellow circuit is very confusing, and yeah, it's just not a very nice contraption in this state. But yeah, let's take a look at Hotel Nautilus anyway. Okay, so here we are at Hotel Nautilus, and yeah, and I prefer the front of this thing as well. It is a nice one, and this light was it's got a flasher attached to it so that I would know, because it's a long way up. It only deals with 4 floors. This was for the sort of penthouse and the suites that I was putting in, and yeah, so this was only going to go to the upper 8 floors, and so it takes a while to go up in the lift, and this would flash when the lift was in motion. And then also this was a multi-floor one, so I had this this floor sort of dial that you would turn, and this was if you wanted to go to the penthouse, you would have to swipe your key because the top floor was only the penthouse. So a lot of the plan is when you go up to the suites, if you went up to any of these, each floor that you went onto would have 2 rooms on each one, so there was going to be a sort of landing to each of where all the lifts were, and then there were going to be doors. Whereas if you were going up to the penthouse, the lift was going to come out directly in the room. So I wanted to do it so that you had some sort of security pass. But yeah, we weren't really talking about any of that because it's not part of the challenge anyway that I'm setting. But yeah, this is all the sort of you know, that's the dial sort of mechanism that comes off here, and this is all the sort of looming that comes through and tells which timer, which all these purple ones are the timers, how long to go for. And yeah, and I was in the process of putting all this in because these are then the signals that then go out and tell the machine when to when to pump you out. And then as for the actual parts that are parts of the lift are the lapis lazuli, or whatever we want to call it, and the yellow. And this is a much more compact version that's a lot easier to work out what's going on. Well, it is in my head. You probably look at this and it's a total mess, but then well, it is a total mess, but then yeah, it's if we go to the top, I think that's where the real victory was. And I should say as well, I will show you the path that it usually takes, because once you go up into that tube there, it goes directly through the machine. We will come up through the machine. So as you'd come up through here, you'd be looking out into all of this redstone. Although it is hard to see through this stuff. This isn't actually glass, this is ice, because I just feel it's a lot more transparent. They could do with another transparent block that doesn't have seams, but yeah, as you can see, you go all the way up through all of this craziness. And yeah, this is quite a redstone contraption, this, but you can tell that it's not very well built by the way that I can move around inside of it. Because if reverse gravity had built like this, you wouldn't be able to tell what's going on in the middle, because it would all be like all wrapped in, all nice and tight. But yeah, and that's where the lift shaft goes. So you go up through that, straight up through the middle, and yeah, unfortunately, as I said, it obscures your view of this a little bit, even though you can see through it from here. When you're actually in the water, because you've got the underwater lighting effects, you can't quite see out and see all this decorative stuff. But anyhow, we weren't here talking about this. We've already been here and seen this. Let's go up and take a look at the kicking out bit. Okay, so here we are. This is the very top layer that would kick out at the this is the penthouse layer. So this is the front of it, and as I said, this is the flasher to say whether you can use it or not. And yeah, it's basically the same design. I haven't got it wired up properly. Actually, I say that, I don't know. We're not going to test it because I don't want to rip it apart. But then, as you can see, this is a lot more compact. Now, this is the top layer, because remember, there's a kicking out layer, and a and then you drop down through the floor. So it's a little bit more messy down there, so we'll go down and have a quick look at that. But as you can see, this is really nice and tight, and it's a real shame that I had to bring this up the side there, because this was looking really, really quite compact. Very reverse gravity. I think reverse gravity would be pleased, but then I don't know. This is a little more chunky. But what you got to bear in mind, it's not really that chunky. It seems chunkier, but a lot of it is the chamber that you drop into. You know, you drop into that chamber there. And yeah, so this is just such a better design, and I think this is why I use so many observer blocks in the Villa della Barba rendition of this contraption, is because it works so effectively on this one. But then I did take a lot more time to put these in, but the reason why I gave up on this project is because I was just running out of room on these floors. You know, I didn't feel like it was big enough, and I was tempted to rip the whole outside down and just make it bigger, but which is what I would have had to have done. But I just thought putting all this trouble into one build on PlayStation just doesn't make sense. But if I was on PC, I would have probably persevered and carried on, because I could share it with people and everyone could download it and enjoy it. But when it's only me and my nephews that can enjoy it, it just seems a little pointless. So yeah, I gave up with this one. But yeah, anyhow, onto the video that we're supposed to be doing. Okay, so what you see here is I've slapped this together just so that you can see the sequence of events that needs to happen to build this contraption, and then you will hopefully be able to go off and try and slim this down a bit, and hopefully we'll be able to beat Hotel Nautilus's footprint, which, well, I had a strange footprint, I'll admit, because it kind of wound around loads of other elements. But yeah, with this one I've gone up 10 stories, so how yours will differ, you know, make it as high as you want. I mean, don't bother doing a multi-floor if you're taking part in this challenge, because I'm going to be doing a multi-floor at some later date. So once we've got this one nailed, we'll move on to the next one, because hopefully the outcome of this one will inspire the next one. And yeah, and if you do fancy attempting this, even if you're not very good at redstone, if you go look at some videos like all of Mumbo's high-tech, low-tech videos, Il Mango's done some excellent videos, and I watched a timer video of his that was probably lasted about an hour, and it was very much like a university lecture. But you can't really talk about that sort of complex redstone without it sounding a bit lectury. So I do go try and sit through something like that, because you will learn something. And he is just Il Mango is very, very, very advanced. But then but yeah, if you can't be bothered with that, just go watch some of Mumbo's stuff, because Mumbo is the master of watchable videos, if you ask me. But yeah, so let's talk about this now. I've done basically, as I said, this has got two functions really. You've got a button down at the bottom. Instead of me cycling around, let's go and have a look. Now you've got a button down the bottom, there's one function. Then you've got a button at the top, there's another function. So the button at the bottom, this is my blue line. Now let's talk about this first of all. So with any sequence, with any sort of function of a redstone, it kind of goes in a sequence of events. So let's think about how the under Soulsand elevator works. So you press that button. First off, this has to be removed. So your floor needs to drop away. Now, how I've gone about this is basically with this here. So the floor is constantly powered. So this piston is constantly powered, gripping onto, this is sticky piston, gripping on to your piece of quartz there. So when the button is pressed, the signal comes through here. So the button is on the opposite side of that, stuck to that pillar there, and it comes down through here, comes through this one here, gets channeled through this piece of terracotta and onto this piece here, and down. Oh, that's the piece here. So when it hits here, although it carries on down here, it also gets powers this repeater, which then turns that off. Now nothing happens with this one. All right, that bit lights up because the repeater's facing this way. It doesn't shoot off down the green one. Yeah, so it just turns that off, allowing that to pull out the way. So once you've fallen down there, the charge meanwhile has gone off down here. Now it's hit a divergence here because we know which one do we want to work first. Well, I did find as well, I was struggling, it was dropping and bouncing. So I found it was best to remove this block out the way. So that's what this one is. So one charge comes down here and does exactly what that sticky piston over there did, and it just pulls this out of the way. That way we don't get any interference when you drop down through. And then once you've dropped down through, it then powers this one. So I've just put these on timers and timed it just perfectly right. And a lot of the time, you know, I don't just build this and work it out mathematically. I know some people probably would, but then I just do it by trial and error. I just change the timers, and when it starts doing what I want it to do, it works. But yeah, so then that one pumps and it shoots you out into this sort of column there, and you can see where the bubbles are going there. And at the same time, I should add, when all this happens, you've got two blocks down under the bottom that, you know, I think only the noobs will not understand this. This sends you down, and this will send you up. If there's water above these, the bubbles will go up from Soulsand, and the bubbles will drop with magma block. That's what that is. So what happens is, so what I've got down here, a lot of you that know a bit of redstone will know what this is. This is a pulse extender. So once this is hit here, basically it diverges again here, so you can't see it. It actually diverges 3 times, so it comes out this way to turn that pull that out the way. It also comes off down here, and it also comes off down here. So once this one gets powered and powers that, this pushes this across. So now the water is rising. So now that's come across, you've been pushed into there, you're going up through the channel, up through here, and then you need a timer to tell that once you have been pushed out of there. I always try to keep the default state like this, so it's going downwards in its default state. And the reason why I do that is, if you did it the other way, when you press the button at any of that floor, or any of the other floors, if you do end up doing multi-floor ones, what would happen is you'd have to send a signal all the way down to tell this to change out to start off with. And I thought, to save yourself putting an extra looming in, you may as well keep this as the default state. So yeah, it might not have been the most clear explanation there, but yeah, hopefully you do understand. But I'm sure if you just play around and try and build something like this, you'll work out the problems as you go along. But yeah, so basically that's pushed that across. Now at the end, we want it to push it back and return it to its default state. So that's what this is. Now this is a falling edge monostable. So a monostable is something that shortens the pulse. So as it comes in, this is a long pulse, you know, so I should explain how this works. So once this is powered, that powers that immediately. Now This power is, it's on a delay, same with this one, same with this one, and the power is being channeled through these blocks. But as these blocks are getting lit up, so one at a time sequentially on a delay, they're also keeping this powered, because I mean this will already be powered by this, but then it's just keeping that power going, so that even when that goes out, the power is still keep on going all the way down to the bottom, down all the way until it gets down to that block there, and yeah, so it's a good way. That's probably the most simple way of extending your pulse, by doing one of these with a channel of redstone, just solid redstone going down the sides like that. But yeah, so then when it hits here, we want at the end of it to push it all back. So yeah, then we've got the falling edge monostable. So how this one works, so this repeater here powers this, and then at the same time these two get powered simultaneously. Now because this one goes into that one, it cuts this one off before this channel down here, because we've kind of split the signal here. Yeah, this channel can't get through here because this one's been locked off. But when they turn off, this one becomes unlocked before this signal was finished, and then it just lets out a little nip. So it's what's called a zero tick pulse. I really explained this badly, but I didn't want a zero tick pulse, but I just wanted a pulse at the end, and so I lengthened that a little bit. And I mean, it wouldn't have mattered if I put a zero tick pulse, but it was a place where I could extend the timing just to get the timing right. But then but yeah, so once all that's happened, then we get onto this cyan circuit. So what happens here, so all of this is gone, you're in the circuit, so you're in the shaft coming up, and then the signal is coming up here. Now this bit is just a time delay. If you do a different height to 10 blocks high, then this part will be different. You will need a different time. So this is all part of the timer here, and basically then what happens then, so yeah, you just do a different timer, and then what happens is the function that we spoke about back at the thing. So these have to pull out the way, these get pulled out the way, this pumps, and then the whole thing returns. So basically how I've done that up here, what we've got, these are the pistons that pull it out of the way, that one, and that one there, in there. Those are the two pistons that pull the first blocks out of the way, which is the first thing that we want to happen. So what happens is the line comes up here. Once it's lit up here, it comes down, and this one gets powered first of all. So what this is, if you might recognize this from down there, this is a pulse extender, because basically we want to extend the pulse, because we want this to pull away first, and we want it to spit back last, because that's one of the last things in the sequence. So what we want to do is extend the pulse. So that's what this does. So it extends the pulse. So first off, this gets powered. This is the one at the top, and all of this runs this, so it's exactly the same at the top. So these two, that one there, this repeater here, and this repeater here, both fire off at the same time. Now, observer blocks, they only give out zero tick pulses, so these are perfect for these spitty outy sort of things. So he spits and sucks it in, and then spits and sucks it out. It's a good little technique on these sticky pistons. I'm waffling again, but yeah, that's what that is. And yeah, so that recognizes when that turns on, gives a zero tick pulse, and when it turns off, gives a zero tick pulse and spits it back out. So yeah, that's that one. So now we've got to look at these ones here. These so what this one's going into, which needs to happen in between that function and that function, that happens simultaneously. So that's what this line is here. So once this is lit, comes up here, comes across here, obviously bypasses this. You don't want to put redstone somewhere like that because it would cross over or there. So yeah, comes down here and activates these, and they pull them out the way. And then once that turns off, it spits it back out again. And then in between those two functions of that spitting at sucking in and spitting out, you know what I mean, this has got to happen. This is the pump, this is the sticky piston pump, the slime block pump, sorry, that spits you out onto this level here. So basically, let's go see that up function. So that's one function described. So let's go have a look. it just happens too fast for me to explain. But then, yeah, you know what happens. It happens really nice and quick. And yeah, so that's that function. So now let's talk about this green line. So our green line is the same again, but back down. So well, I say the same again. First off, we need to drop through the floor. So we're dropping through this one. So it's a similar sort of thing. Let's go around here and have a look at this dark green line to start off with. Now we couldn't go through the same as we did before, so we've had to come down this way. Now we can see our first divergence here. Now this is the block that first that pulls out the lapis lazuli. So in this one I've got lapis that blocks off. Otherwise the lapis is, if I didn't put them in there, as you go up the lift shaft there would be a gap that the player could escape from. So that's why I put that in there. Another great explanation for myself. But yeah, so these pull that out of the way, allowing the player to be pushed into the flow, into the lift shaft itself. So, and obviously I think we know what this is. This is the thing that pushes you into there. So let's go around here and quickly look at what I did this side. So here we have what pulls the quartz block away. So as you can see, it's a similar thing. So we've got a sticky piston that is kept powered by this. So once the power comes on down here, this comes into this. Once this block gets powered, it alternates this, so it turns this off, which means that pulls it out of the way. Meanwhile, this carries on down here. Now, this here is our leading edge monostable, so it just shortens the pulse down into something that I can use. I can't even remember why I put this in there, but yeah, I did put this in there. Either way, it worked. But yeah, so it came up here and powered this, pumping me into the thing. So, and as we saw a divergence back there, didn't we? It is around here. So once we got down to here, yeah, it came around here. So these blocks would be out of the way, and it's a similar thing where they're constantly powered by this torch here. So this torch going out will pull it out of the way, and that torch turning back on will push them back in the way. It's really quite an easy little circuit, that. And now this is the timed circuit that comes down here and tells the rest of the circuit down here of what to do here. Now this seems quite complicated, but it's actually really simple. So basically the first part of this is because we don't need to do anything with this as well. That's the beauty of this, because it's in its default state. And yeah, so what happens first here is we need to pump across into the flow. So that's the first function there. So it comes down here, goes off into here. Now at the same time down here, this is coming down here, turned into a tick. So we've got, it turns it into a 3-tick pulse, and that's our pump upwards that shoots us off up through the floor. But remember, the floor is across at this point, so this comes round here. You probably saw this little bit of circuit before. Remember I said this lights up. So it basically does what happened when we came upwards. So it comes down here, comes through here. This is basically a choke point that stops it from coming back this way, really. And then, yeah, lights that up, turning that off, allowing that to come out just for the perfect length of time. This is one of the most important and one of the most finicky circuits to put in. And yeah, this is the delay. You know, this is pulse extender, remember? And yeah, this is yeah, this basically works. You know, and it works. So let's go give it a try. But yeah, like that, just like that. So as you can see, this is actually far nicer. It's far nicer than the one that was in that is in Villa de la Barbe, and yeah, I far prefer this one. But yeah, it's going to be nice to see what you guys can do. Now, we are a small channel at the minute, so I don't expect a huge turnout for this one. But then if you do know anybody who's into redstone, send them a link to this channel and hopefully they'll take part. And but yeah, so I will give it an attempt myself, because I think it may end up with me trying to shrink it down myself. So I will be doing that, so don't worry, there will be a tutorial coming out. Give it a couple of months and I'll bring out a video with my compaction. Oh, Pat, you're wrong, and I didn't mean that. But yeah, ignore Pat. You knew what I meant. Now, what I will be doing is I'm going to be going over, I mean, Mumbo's quite active on his Twitter. I'm going to send him a sort of link on his Twitter. And hopefully he takes the bait, but then I can't see that. I think the same with Il Mango, and there's a few of them like that, OMG Craft, people like that. They're in my wildest dreams, sort of people to catch their attention. But then there are a few others out there. There's some really great redstoners out there, and a lot of them don't get anywhere near enough attention. Now, I've put a few of them in the list. I mean, I think I'll put 10 or so, 10, 12 different redstoners in there. Now, these are going to be the sort of people I'll go to their channels, go have a look at their channels, and if you see their most latest video and you see that I've put a message on there, just go and tick the thumbs up next to it, and hopefully it gets up rated. They take the hint and they come and help us shrink these things down, because at the minute they're a bit on the tubby side. So yeah, if you do make an attempt at this, you can always take screenshots and send them to me on my Twitter. That's probably a good way to get hold of me, or my Instagram or anything like that. I'll put links to all of that in the description, or just leave a message in the comment section, and hopefully I'll see it. Or if you want to make a video of your piece, if you just title it Beardy Blocks Contraption Compaction Challenge under Soulsand Elevator. Have fun typing that out, or I'll just write in the description. You can copy and paste it and save yourself blisters. But yeah, so for now, I suppose I'm Beardy Blocks, and I will see you in the near future. Bye-bye. Beardy Blocks.